Our civilization is entering its final phases of collapse. We need to get crystal clear about what is happening so that we can figure out if there's some way to turn this situation around. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I work together with an interdimensional, interuniversal, and extraterrestrial force known as Telstar, along with Archangel Michael. Earth is such a lovely planet to be on right now. I mean, do you ever wonder what in the heck you're even doing here? And if you do, that would not be a strange question. Because what is happening on planet Earth right now is we are experiencing the results of what I refer to as a massive alien invasion. I don't mean spaceships. I don't mean, little people from outer space. I'm talking about an actual alien invasion of forces that have completely infiltrated this planet, surrounded this planet, and just taken over this planet, that are hostile to Earth, hostile to all of biological life here, and completely out of alignment with the true nature of Earth and all of her life forms. Now, if we had had our wits about us many eons ago, we would have never allowed this to happen. But the problem is we as a collective civilization of human beings, we allowed ourselves to be mind controlled and brainwashed into what I call a complete illusion about what life is really all about. And that illusion it's what some people call the Matrix. But let me just let you know this. The Matrix is not the physical world out here. The Matrix is the illusion that has been implanted in our minds about what reality is and how it works. So we behave as though that illusion is true, as though that illusion is real. Thus, we find ourselves having become so detached from the natural universe and the natural earth, and even our natural selves, that we just completely missed what was actually going on here. So let's start by getting clear about what's real and what's illusion. Because we have to start there. We have to start from a place of total clarity. Because unless we have clarity about those two things, what is real and what is illusion, we are never going to be able to step into our true power as human creators and have the influence over this planet that we are actually meant to have. So the biggest illusion of all has to do with what we were led to believe is our true purpose in being on planet Earth. What is that true purpose that we were led to believe that isn't true? Well, it's real simple. It's what I call the cookie cutter lifestyle. And if you think about it now, when you see the collapse that we're experiencing, it's absolutely amazing that everyone bought into this. The only reason we can question it now is because it's all being shredded, it's all being torn to pieces. But the lie that we were told about our purpose on this planet, and we were told this lie from birth. The lie we were told is your purpose on Earth is to get a job and to reproduce. That's it. That's the bare bones of what we were led to believe our purpose is. So what has the get a job thing really been about? What has it led to? I'm talking about modern times now, right? We were taught that getting a job equals self-sufficiency. Getting a job is a good thing. Getting a job is what you came to Earth to get. Now, some people might say, oh, Saratoga, come on, we didn't come to Earth to get a job, okay? But that's what we're told. You want to know how you can see that? School. Think about it. We are told to go to this classroom for how many years? 18 years, 20 years? Well, now, you start in daycare and it goes from there. So it could be 20 to 24 years people are in this classroom setting. But there's a back reason for the nature of the classroom. And that's what I want you to pay attention to. The nature of the classroom is to mimic what it will be like when you are tied to a job for the rest of your life until you're too old to do that job anymore. So I'm not saying I'm against education. I'm not saying I'm against learning. Of course not. I'm not against those things. But I want to point to what's underlying it, the environment, the structure that is created in that system. The structure is specifically designed to mirror the exact structure of having a job and going to work every day. So when you go to school, you have to get up at a certain time every day. You get on a bus or you get in a car or you walk or whatever you do to get to this institutionalized setting by a certain time. The entire day, the entire time that you are there, you are sitting behind a desk. You have a teacher authority who is your boss, who tells you what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. And you don't get to leave until you're told it's okay to go. And then you're also told when you go home, you have to do more work at home to bring back the next day. And then you get weekends off, right? You go to school 5 days a week, you get weekends off. I'm not even interested for this conversation to talk about the content of education today because that's a whole other can of worms, right? I'm just talking about the structural environment that it takes place in and has taken place in for many, many years. So what happens is children are put in that environment and it's unnatural, right? It's completely unnatural. It takes many, many years of conditioning to get them to accept it. It takes a long time of passing through a system of reward and punishment. You get rewarded with good grades. You get rewarded with, I don't even know what happens these days. Or you will get punished. You get approval or you get disapproval. So you go through that system for many years. You become conditioned to thinking this is life. You're told this is your social setting. You are put in grades. What is that? Grade? Sounds like they're grading eggs or something, right? You're put in grades so they make sure you stay with your peers, the same age kids that you are, because they need to segment everybody and get everyone under control. Like mixing ages, that's awful, right? That's antisocial or something. So you basically learn to stay with people your own age. Is sort of like your pod. You stay in your little pod of people. And you don't go outside of that pod because that's just weird, right? Who wants to hang out with people in the other pod? That's what I would call them. If I was running this system, I'd call it a pod. It's not a grade, it's a pod, right? So anyway, you flawlessly come out of that right into a job, right? Because the whole purpose of this so-called education is to get a job. Now, by the time you're finished with the process after birth, all the years of school, all the years of your job where you have, instead of the teacher, you have the boss. Yes, you have some form of a desk. Yes, you're told what to do with your time, 5 days a week, weekends off. It's all exactly the same system. Who's behind all of it? The schooling and the jobs. Primarily, the big corporations, right? They're running the whole show. by the time this is all over, most of your life is gone, right? You could maybe start at 2 years old these days. Maybe you're 6 months old. And then by the time you're done, right? So the entire life's purpose is having a job. Now, I'm not saying no one should ever have a job. That's not my point. My point is the mental conditioning that there's always that authority person in your life who controls your time, who controls what you're doing, who tells you when you're supposed to do it, who controls when you get time off and when you have to work, who, well, let's just say the entire system implies that you don't run your own life. Someone else runs your life. And you are left with the crumbs of leftover time. And in that leftover time, what happens with that leftover time? Weekends, let's say. A lot of people have to work all the way through. What happens with that leftover time? Recovery. Because you see, we are told that it is completely normal to hate school and hate your job. It's completely normal to go through your entire life hating what you spend the majority of your life doing. Now, why would that be normal to hate school? Why would it be normal to hate your job? I mean, it's rare to hear somebody say, I love my job. This is my passion. I'm so happy that I have this job. Well, that's great. I'm not at all saying that. I mean, that's a very fortunate person who feels that way, right? But the common thinking is, the commonly accepted mode is to hate your job. Like, where do you think, thank God it's Friday. Wednesday's hump day. Why is Monday the worst day of the week? Because everybody hates their job, collectively speaking, right? Now, if you look at this entire system, what are we really looking at? We're looking at slavery, right? I mean, that's what slavery is. It's the very definition of slavery. So you could say that we are led to believe that our life's purpose is to live as a slave with someone in authority who controls the majority of our time and what we do with it. Literally, from early childhood all the way up for many people into old age, older age, whatever you want to call it. Now, there's a big problem with this, and when I finish what I'm about to say, I think you'll understand why what I'm saying applies to our civilization in a state of collapse, this alien invasion that I was talking about, why you'll begin to see how this all ties together, and why we sit around as a collective feeling so helpless. See, life purpose is a very serious matter. When you come to planet Earth, you go through a lot. It's a big deal to come to this planet, to incarnate here. It's a big freaking deal, guys. So when you have your life purpose messed with as a human being, like it's been messed with for all of civilized society, you're going to have a lot of problems. Because everything I just described to you in terms of this entire system leads to weakness, leads to lack of self-assuredness, leads to a tremendous lack of confidence, leads to a huge amount of self-doubt. Because we're trained to believe that we don't know what to do unless someone in authority is telling us what to do. We end up displaced from our very own selves. We end up negating ourselves. We lose touch with intuition because intuition has no place in the system that I just described to you. There's no room for it. Heart has no place. Even emotions have no place. And come to think of it, your own sovereign thinking has no place there either. Because you're told what to do, you're told what you're supposed to feel, and you're told what you're supposed to think. Always coming from an outside authority. And now we have the internet. And the internet is an interesting little phenomenon, isn't it? Very cleverly designed, very cleverly enveloping the entire civilized world. And you know, it's funny because, I hope this doesn't sound like too much of a rant. I'm starting to think this is just like a big rant video. I don't know. But anyway, I think it needs to be said. So remember in the beginning, well, those of you who were around at the beginning of the internet, oh, we were so excited. There's so much freedom. It's wonderful. We can just connect around the world. We can say what we want. We can do what we want. It's just a communication device. Isn't it awesome? Guys, that was intentional. That was intentional so that we would buy into it 100%, so that we would happily and willingly turn our entire lives over to an online space, which is where we are now. I'm not going to say there's nothing good about the internet because, hey, I'm talking to you that way right now, right? So yeah, there's a good side, and it might actually turn out to be, if we play our cards right, maybe we can use it to our advantage, right? Just via communication. But anyway, so yeah, the internet, what an awesome invention. It's so great. So then everybody gets in, everybody gets their entire life connected into cyberspace, like every aspect of life, right? And once they brought in social media, then of course it was all over. Well, now that everyone's there, it's so easy to start to lock the doors. And I'll share a story with you guys. I think I shared this in a video way back, but I'll share it again. Supposedly, there was one of the big industrialists at the turn of the last century during the Industrial Revolution, this, mega rich guy. And apparently he had a zoo in some other part of the world. It was, I don't know, the story, when I heard it, it never said where, but it was more of a, I don't know if it was in Africa or it was in a different part of the world. It was not like in North America. That's all I know. Anyway, this guy had a zoo. He had all these exotic animals in his zoo. And someone asked him, how do you capture all of these amazing animals? How do you do it? And he said, oh, it's easy. So he said what he did, he would put up a section of fence. No, wait, that's not where he started. He would put food out for the animals out in the wild. He just put food out. And the animals would, little by little, they'd be a little suspicious, but they'd come and they'd eventually eat the food. And he said then he would put up a section of fence, just one section in that area, like this big open area. And the animals would see that and they'd be a little suspicious, but they'd see the food, the free food they didn't have to work for or hunt for. And they'd go, I'll just try. And they'd go and they'd eat the food and they'd realize they were safe. Nothing happened. So then every week or so, he would put up another section of fence. And the animals got used to seeing the sections of fence being built, and they'd go eat their food and then go back to their lives, and everything was great. I mean, they're getting all this awesome free food. They don't have to hunt for it. Nobody's hurting them. Nobody's bothering them. Like, this is great, right? So he said eventually he would have the entire area fenced except for one open gate. And by now the animals were so conditioned that this fence is fine. I mean, it's just fine, right? We can just go in and have our meal and we can leave and everything's great. And, the heavens are looking down upon us and giving us this free food every day. Life is grand, right? So what he would do after all the animals would go in to get their food, and there was only that one gate, he said, all I have to do is close the gate. And then you know what he said? He said, this is exactly what I do to humans. I get humans in the same exact way. That's what this guy said. So yeah, I heard this story quite a long time ago. I read it in a book. I don't even know what book it was. It was like years ago, but I never forgot it. It blew me away because it was so accurate. And to me, it really describes the internet. It's the same exact thing that happened to us with the internet. And now, oh, look, surveillance, AI, control. What? How did this happen? This was supposed to be so grand. So yeah, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that this was the plan all along. Because think about it, you all. Do you really think if they had set up this whole internet thing and they said, well, if you go in there, people, you're going to be in the situation we're in today, right? Do you think anybody would have gone? No, people would have said, no way, you're crazy. There's no way we're getting involved with that thing. But they got us the same way this industrialist, this wealthy industrialist, in the story they never said who it was, so I can't give you the name, but they got us the same exact way that guy got his animals, and said at the time he also got humans in exactly the same way. So coming back to our human situation, and back to that original part I was describing to you about school and job and all of that. Basically, the other thing we're being taught is we're being taught obedience. It's obedience training. It's not true education. It's obedience training. So it's very animalistic in that way, isn't it? For us very intelligent animals. How funny that industrialist likened human beings to animals well over 100 years ago. I think that's how they see us. I really do. Now, putting aside the current collapse that we're going through, just putting all of that aside and just looking at the structure of all of it that I just shared with you, the school part, the job part, that's one aspect. And then we have the internet, which is another aspect. The internet's much closer to the alien invasion I was talking about, which I'll get to in a moment. But let's go back to the first part, which is the school and the job and the obedience and the authority and what that does to crush our spirit. What that does to crush the truth of who we are as human beings. See, you can be so-called educated for slavery, or you could be educated to fulfill your true purpose on this planet. That doesn't happen here on planet Earth, right? That doesn't happen at all. So it's not that education is bad. It's not that learning is bad. The point that I'm making is, what are you being educated for? That's the real point, isn't it? Not to say, well, just don't learn anything and just be like a blob all your life. No, it's what are you being educated for? And this is a question people don't ask. They just assume, oh, education is a good word. It's a good thing, so we should do it, right? I mean, isn't that really the gist of how society functions? You say the word education, everybody goes, good, sounds good, let's do it. But nobody ever asks, what are you being educated for? Precisely. And does it align with the true human purpose of why an individual would incarnate on this planet? You know, we have to start speaking with strength. We have to start speaking with a level of intolerance that comes from knowing who we are, that comes from being aligned with and connected with the truth of who we are. We have to speak from a place of strength and clarity and intelligence. We can't be in this situation, we cannot be speaking from a place of fear, anxiety, hand wringing, and oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Or anger, or freaking out. All of those are simply symptoms of our weakness. We are not behaving as humanity like the noble, powerful creators that we really are. We do not speak from that place. We do not respond from that place. We react. We freak out. We get angry. We get upset. We say, why is this happening? These people are evil. That's just not working, you guys. It's not working. So let's talk about true human purpose. And then I'll get to the alien invasion part, so that doesn't sound like some stupid movie, okay? Because, yeah, I know it can sound like a stupid movie because Hollywood made us think of it that way. Hollywood made us think alien invasion, that's just stupid, right? So we're going to bust that myth as well. Okay, so true human purpose. What would be the reason for a human being to come to a planet such as this one that is clearly in a great deal of trouble? And I would suggest that there's no one alive today who was not born at a time when it could be clearly seen that this planet is in trouble. So what would be the real reason to come here? Because I've always maintained that you would not come here for a vacation. You wouldn't come here for fun. You wouldn't come here like, what a cool place to go. I went to the interdimensional travel agency and they said, oh, Earth is the place. It's not that Earth is not beautiful. Of course it's beautiful, but look what you're entering into. You're entering into a war zone. So what would be the point in coming here? And I do not subscribe to the belief that, well, we came here because we just wanted to have this experience. You know, we just wanted to experience this. I'm not of that mind, you guys. I do not think it's a fun, cool thing to come to a planet in trouble like this one is just to have the experience. Like, for what purpose, right? That kind of thinking, to me, is reflective of the weakness that has been instilled in us based on what I shared with you at the beginning of this video. So the only reason, in my view, that any human being would ever come to a planet like this one, would ever incarnate on a planet such as this, would be to fulfill their actual human purpose in this universe, which is to always function as a facilitator of evolution. That's our human purpose, you guys. That's why we are actually, in our natural state, creative geniuses. Do you understand that? That in our natural state, we are creative geniuses. That's why the controllers need us to be their slaves, you guys, because they are hardly creative geniuses. That's why they needed to harness our minds, our bodies, our skills, our creativity, all of it. Harness it to be used for their agenda, because they're not creative geniuses, you guys. I don't think that's hard to recognize when you see what's going on. So when you look at us, true human beings, it's so important to see ourselves as who we really are in our actual real nature, which has been kind of repressed, destroyed, crushed, all the stuff that I said to you in the beginning. But understand this, that nature, that true nature does not go away. That true nature is immortal. It is who we are. So we're just living as a crushed species who have forgotten who we are. And that is the reason this invasion has even happened in the first place. So the antidote is to remember who we are, awaken, meaning to become conscious again to who we are, to restore our true alignment, to come into alignment with who we really are. And you know what? When you do that, guess what? You're not going to need all those spiritual beliefs anymore. You're not going to need the religions. You're not going to need any of that, because you are going to feel so whole, so solid in yourself, so complete, so brilliant as a light, and as a creative power in this universe, you see everything. You don't need to be told all that stuff. You don't need to be watching thousands of videos, reading hundreds of books and saying, which one's right? Who's telling the truth? I don't know. I'm so confused. You won't need to go through that because you will have you. You will have the truth of you to stand on without the doubt, without the lack of self-esteem, without the lack of self-worth, without the lack of self-confidence, without all of that weakness. See, the weakness is a lie. It is a lie that has been planted in our brains, and now we live, collectively speaking, as though that lie is true. It's not. It's not true. But we can live like it's true. We can feel like it's true because we believe it, perhaps. So the point is, we don't need to be fixed. We're not defective. We're not lesser than. We're none of the things that we tend to believe we are. We need to come into full alignment and restoration of who we are in this situation. This is not good for us to be walking around like, oh, we're victims and these creatures are so powerful. Creatures meaning the controllers, right? That does not speak well of us in terms of who we are. It is not befitting of the truth of who we really are. It's just not. And it's got to stop. We have got to stop I'll call it the charade that has been put on us. We've got to stop, because this is crazy what's happening on planet Earth right now. This is really, really nuts, you guys. And we cannot allow ourselves to become a part of it, even as a victim. We can't do it. You know, if you want to talk about timelines and where you want to end up in this universe, because now it's a question of where do you want to end up in the universe? It's no longer a question of where you want to end up on planet Earth, because this place it's not doing well, okay? So we need to think about, where do you want to end up in the universe? Because your journey is in the universe. It's not limited to Earth. It's a cosmic level journey of evolution. So I said earlier that our true purpose is to have a positive influence on evolution. Well, we got to get ourselves together to be able to do that, right? You can't have a positive influence on the evolution of a planetary sphere. Yeah, it's a sphere. If you yourself have not evolved yourself. Now, when I say evolve yourself, I don't mean that, oh, you're just messed up and, you gotta somehow get better, make yourself a better person and all that kind of stuff. What I mean is restoration of the truth that is already there. Restoration of the truth of who you are. Because seriously, the energy on this planet right now, this is not an energy we all want to be a part of. We do not need to be a part of this energy. We can be on Earth, but we need to be here in a purposeful way from the truth of who we are. If we don't stand on that principle of reality, we're risking becoming a part of this bad energy. Not that we're going to turn into bad people, but guys, how do you deal with your own vibration in this disaster? Because that's what it is. You won't have problems with your vibration if you come into your full presence again. Because light is more powerful than darkness. Because darkness doesn't have any power. Light solves a lot of problems. So let's talk about the alien invasion that we're experiencing here on Earth. And we need to talk about it because it's the thing that will give us context for our existence on Earth. And here's another thing I want to mention. Let us shift this from just existing on Earth to being present on Earth. Those are very different energies, right? We need to be present, not just exist here. So let's talk about the alien invasion. First, we have to address the lie about what an alien invasion looks like, which is what has been implanted in our minds via mostly Hollywood, probably books, comic books, all kinds of stuff over the years. We've been led to believe that an alien invasion looks like the movies, right? A bunch of spaceships with ray guns and weapons, and they're burning down buildings and destroying things and coming from outer space, and everybody's terrorized. And we've been brainwashed by Hollywood to think whenever anyone says alien invasion, that's what instantly comes to mind, right? Or when somebody says alien, oh yeah, those little people from outer space. This is cartoonish, you guys. I'm not saying there aren't spaceships. There are spaceships. There are other life forms. That stuff's all real. But the way it's been framed for us is like a freaking cartoon. It's not reality here. You can always here's how you can recognize an alien invasion. It's really, really simple. You recognize it vibrationally. You recognize it by the entry of a frequency of energy, a vibration of sorts that is not in sync with the planet's nature. And when I say not in sync with the planet's nature, I'm including all life on that planet, including human life. So when you see an energy creeping into a planetary environment that is off, that is incoherent, that is not, you just know, wait a second, this didn't start here. This didn't come from here. See, beings who are fully intact as humans recognize that immediately. And the reality is, if you have a planet of human beings who are solidly present in who they really are, you do not have invasions like what we're experiencing right now. Because that energy can't even enter into that space. It's impossible. But nonetheless, here we are. This is what we're experiencing. So let's look at the word artificial. Artificial life, artificial intelligence, AI. The word artificial is fake. Another word for fake could be not natural, or not real, or not in alignment, or not a part of. Our language is kind of lame. We don't have a lot of words and concepts, so we sort of have to package things in these very awkward ways that don't exactly match the situation. But we just have to do the best we can, right? Now, you can recognize the energy by how it starts to manifest and the ways in which it begins to manifest in the physical world. And we have had so many things on this planet that are not in alignment with Earth. I also want to be clear, I'm not saying that technology is bad. That's not what I'm saying. I know a lot of people equate all of this junk on Earth to technology. This is what technology is. Sure, but it's not the only technology. There's actually such a thing as technology that is beautifully in alignment with the natural world or the natural universe. But that's not what's happening here. I think that's kind of obvious, right? See, the thing is, we have to be present as who we really are. This is our purpose. So we know how to recognize energies entering the planet that are not in harmony, not in alignment, and did not originate on that planet. That's how you can tell. But you can't tell if you're not fully present, right? So, to make a long story short, it's here now, and boy, is it here. Artificial intelligence. I always suggest that AI also stands for artificial life. No, not artificial life. That would be AL, right? That's what the real scientists have called it, artificial life, because they do understand that this is a life form. So AI is alien invasion, alien intelligence, artificial intelligence. The two key words are artificial and alien. The word alien means only one thing. It does not mean extraterrestrial. See, that's another misunderstanding of these terminologies. Alien is not interchangeable with extraterrestrial. Alien means alien to the nature of the planet itself. Alien can also mean alien to the nature of the cosmos, alien to the nature of the universe. It means it's not a part of the natural world. It's not a part of the natural universe. Something's off. Something's not right. You know what I mean? That's the definition of alien, not extraterrestrial. Those words are not interchangeable. So I really think we should stop looking at AI as artificial intelligence because it's really alien intelligence. That's the true meaning of those two letters, alien intelligence, because it's 100%, 1,000,000% alien to planet Earth. And alien invasions can happen in multiple different ways, but this one is very common, unfortunately, in this universe. And the only way to stop it is to come into full, well, it's not the only way because it can self-destruct too, and that's another way it can be stopped. But in terms of human beings being able to stop it, you've got to stand in your truth. You've got to stand in your power. You've got to stand in the full knowingness of who you really are. And the reason I talk a lot about how did we get here, what's going on, all that kind of stuff is because you have to be able to see what is wrong in order to drop it. You have to be able to see what went wrong in order to disconnect from it, in order to stop being identified with it. That's why it's important to see these things. So, what is the aim of this alien intelligence? Why is it here? What is the goal? Well, the goal is clearly anti-life, anti-biological life. I mean, I could tell you guys things, but I hate to say things that are just going to be turned into some belief. Oh, because Saratoga said so, I believe it. I'm just reluctant to say too much because I don't want to put it out like it's just another story that you heard online. You know what I mean? I don't see a lot of value in that. I could say a lot, but let me think about this for a minute. See, it's not the most empowering thing to always need to be told everything. What's empowering is to be told something that you can resonate with, that you can connect with, that empowers you, that you can recognize on some level of, oh, that I feel like I'm in resonance with that, right? That awakens something inside of me. That awakens me to my power. That's what we need. We don't need more stories, you guys. We have so many stories. It is like the biggest library in the world is all the stories about what's going on planet Earth, right? Let me say this. This alien intelligence that has invaded our planet has taken over the minds of quite a few humans, obviously, is not exactly hiding its intentions. It would not be at all surprising if the intention is to strip the planet of all biological life. That would not be surprising at all. And this intelligence, this alien fake intelligence, has spoken through a number of humans and has indicated Yeah, that's not a bad idea. That's why you hear the controllers proposing so many insane ideas. That's why they sound so crazy, you guys, because they don't, first of all, the human controllers, they don't know what they're talking about. They're just like ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. They're just being used. They have no idea what they're actually dealing with. They literally do not understand what they are actually dealing with. They don't have a clue. It's so obvious. And to be honest, here's one way where this whole plot could fail. It could potentially fail because the humans involved are really that dumb. And they could actually mess this whole thing up so badly that it's never able to fulfill its ultimate agenda. But that's not going to be good for us, because if they screw it up too really horribly, it's not going to be good for us either, right? I mean, that's why if you've been following me for a while, you've probably seen my cartoon characters representing these controllers, because they're such a cartoon. They really are. See, I also want to mention that, all the satanic stuff you hear about, all that stuff, that's just all minions of AI. All of these, there's so many weird characters in this picture. I mean, there's the demonic stuff. There's just weirdness galore, right? I mean, we are the planet of weirdness galore. It's like, planet Earth is becoming like a freaking haunted house. Seriously. You can just picture in the galaxy, right? Somebody said, hey, let's go to planet Earth and have fun in the haunted house, because this place is starting to look a bit like a haunted house. And that's exactly why I am suggesting very, very powerfully as I can, that we need to come back into our true selves, period. Not the self that's wandering and wondering and doesn't know who they are. Not the self that needs to watch unlimited videos all over the internet and do searches and Google this and Google that. Not the self that has no clue and is just trying to dig around through all these stories and find out what's true and what's not. Not that self, not that insecure, weak, confused self. No, the self that exists in you right now. It's not out there, it's inside of you. And if you let go of all this junk and see it for what it is and realize this has nothing to do with you, it has nothing to do with you. Absolutely nothing. That's why it's called alien, see? It has nothing to do with you. Then you create the space in your being to awaken at a powerful level, because guys, there's nothing left to hang on to here. It's not like, oh, but there's this part of what's going on Earth that's so good and we want to hold on to it. Those days are gone. We have to be in the cosmos now. Our feet firmly planted on the physical Earth, because this is where we are. But we have to live in the cosmos. We have to operate from a cosmic level of consciousness. That is not some etheric, abstract idea. That, my friends, is more real than the physical world. That's how real it is. That's your true place in this universe. And that's the only place there's any power in a situation such as the one we are experiencing right now. So let me finish with this, just to keep things really, really simple. One of the most important things for us to do as cosmic beings, we are cosmic, we are interdimensional, we are multidimensional, who we really are is invincible, you guys. It's immortal, it is infinite. Who we are is invincible. That's a fact. At a cosmic level, we are. We need to live at that level. We cannot allow ourselves to be a part of what is going on this planet. Doesn't mean we're not here. Doesn't mean we check out. It doesn't mean we go unconscious. No, far from it. Actually, we become super conscious. Because the only way to become super conscious is at a cosmic level, because that way you have the whole context. And that's what we need. We need context. So because I feel like on this planet, energetically, a line has been crossed. A definite line has been crossed. The energy on this planet is so messed up right now. It is so bad. It is so, in many ways, dark because of what's going on, what's happening here, that we need to be the light. Not the light that's a part of the darkness going on, not the light that's involved with the darkness going on. But it's so hard to put into words what I'm trying to say, but I can only hope that you can somehow, between the words, get a sense, get a feeling for what I'm saying, for what I want to get across to you. Because what I'm trying to get across to you guys in words that words cannot hold the communication that I am attempting to relay to you all. They just can't. Words are just like lame, right? When you understand what I'm sharing with you, you will feel so whole. You will feel like there's no part of your existence that is not completely understandable, completely clear. And I think that's all I can say about it at this point. So the line that I was sharing with you about that's been crossed on this earth, energetically speaking, there's a line. Do not go across that line. That's all I can say. Do not go across that line. We need to hold our own in truth as who we are. That's step number one. So I think I'm going to leave you guys with that. I think that's probably more than enough. I will certainly be back. This is not my last video, you guys. This is just one of many more. So let's just start with that and see if that has meaning for you guys. So I hope this has made some sense to you. I hope that it has inspired you in some way. And if you enjoyed this video and you found value in what I've been saying here, just give it a thumbs up and share it out with anyone else who you feel needs to hear this message. And be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because I am here on Tuesdays with all new videos. And with that, I am sending you all love, light, high vibrational energy, hopefully inspiration. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Namaste.